Ladies and gentlemen, there's something we don't talk about enough. I'm talking about the quiet weight you carry. I'm talking about the silent battles you fight every single night when absolutely no one's watching. The pain that sits heavy, hidden behind your practiced smile. The constant war raging behind your calm, composed behavior. Stop right now and acknowledge that heavy, invisible burden you bear. If this resonates with you, hit the like button right now. You see, you must internalize this truth. Not everyone is meant to understand your pain. And crucially, not everyone deserves to hear it. Some people, quite frankly, won't care. They are simply spectators. Some will give a convincing performance, acting like they do care, but only just long enough to feed their momentary curiosity. And worse still, infinitely worse, some people will actively turn your deepest, most vulnerable struggles into their private entertainment. It's a bitter truth, a harsh reality. You shared your heart with them, that fragile, exposed organ, hoping that someone would hold it gently. But instead, what happened? They did not cradle it, they exploited it. They held it up to the harsh, judging light for everyone to see, to criticize, to whisper about, and to ultimately laugh behind your back. You let them cross the boundary. You let them into a sacred, vulnerable part of your life they hadn't earned the right to witness. And now you're left wondering why you feel so profoundly exposed, so fundamentally betrayed and utterly broken. This message isn't about bottling it up. It's not about forcing yourself to pretend everything's fine, walking around like a perfect statue. No, this is about discernment, about acquiring the wisdom of silence. It's about knowing deep in your soul that not everyone possesses the compassion, the wisdom, or the sheer emotional capacity to carry even a corner of your mighty load. Be aware of the wolves in sheep's clothing. Some smile directly to your face, yet they secretly hope to see you stumble. To them, your anguish is just a spectacle, a show. Your setbacks are nothing more than easy punchlines for their gossip. They are not rooting for your healing. They are patiently, silently waiting for your collapse. If you are ready to guard your peace, hit the subscribe button right now and join this community. And so, you must understand this central principle. Struggles are weights. They are weights meant to be lifted by you. Because no one else, not even the person closest to you, can ever truly grasp the specific crushing gravity of your pain, the burning fire of your unique dreams, or the actual physical weight of your personal battles. This journey, this climb, this fight, it is yours. And telling everyone about the sheer magnitude of the obstacles on your path won't make them any easier, won't lighten the load, won't bring you peace. But you know what will. Silence. There is profound, undeniable power in silence. There is unmatched strength in moving quietly, in waking up every morning and grinding in the dark while the rest of the world is deeply asleep. You must make the conscious choice to grow, to struggle, and to rise without demanding the applause. Not everyone needs to know what you are doing, and let me be clear, not everyone deserves a front row seat to your becoming. When life, that relentless force, throws its absolute worst at you, do not run from it, do not broadcast it. Hold it close, embrace the hardship, study it. Learn every single lesson it has to offer you. Let that struggle violently shape you, but let it happen in silence. Let the dark moments mold you, just like intense pressure on coal eventually turns it into an unbreakable diamond. Consider the strength of a tree. Like roots digging deeper and deeper during a severe drought, silence grows true, lasting strength where noise, chatter, and validation-seeking simply cannot. If you are ready to choose this path of quiet strength, share this video right now with one person who needs to understand the power of silence. You should only share your deepest journey with those rare few who have earned it. I mean the rare individuals who truly uplift you without judgment, the ones who listen without comparing your struggle to their own, and who support you without any expectation of return. Until you find those rare ones, listen to me. Let your progress speak. Let your resilience echo infinitely louder than any of your words. Let your tangible results silence every single doubt that anyone ever had. Let your growth become the single loudest thing about you. Because when you keep going day after day, when you succeed specifically in the shadows, when you rise above quietly without asking for sympathy or worse, validation, people will inevitably start to wonder, how did they do it? Where did that strength come from? And the only answer they will ever truly need, the only explanation that matters, is your undeniable success. Let that success be the roaring echo of your deliberate silence. Let that silence be the powerful voice for every single sleepless night, every tear you shed in solitude, and every internal battle you fought when absolutely no one showed up to help. Now, let's talk about the illusion of validation. Take a profound moment right now and ask yourself this single, penetrating question. What do you truly gain from sharing your pain with the wrong, unequipped people? Be brutally honest with yourself. Are you doing it for genuine healing, or are you desperately seeking short-term validation? Understand this clearly. Validation is a short-term, temporary fix. It is a fleeting sugar high. It will not pull you out of bed when the alarm screams at 5 a.m. It will not carry you safely through the brutal, unending storm. It will not compel you to put in the necessary work when all motivation has completely died. And most importantly, validation, praise, or pity will never ever make you stronger. Only you can do that internal work. The less you seek external approval, the more fundamentally unstoppable you become. Because when you finally stop asking people to understand your struggle, you simultaneously begin to truly understand yourself. You start facing your problems head-on, directly, without flinching. You stop waiting for some external permission to be strong, and you simply become strong. That is the single most powerful lesson that silence teaches you. It teaches you to rely exclusively on your own powerful voice in the deepest void. It teaches you to trust the echo of your own inherent strength. It compels you to believe that you are, in fact, enough. Even when no one is clapping, even when no one sees your effort, and even when no one seems to care. And when you find that raw, self-sufficient strength within you, it becomes a permanent fortress. It cannot be shaken. It cannot be stolen. It becomes your unbreakable foundation. It becomes your eternal fire. There is a sacred space within you. It is a place the world will never see. It is a sanctuary where all your great battles are fought without any witnesses. It is where your massive dreams are nurtured without the need for applause. It is where true, lasting strength is built in absolute silence. One painful breath, one disciplined step, one correct choice at a time. This is the space of solitude. Do not confuse it with loneliness. It is solitude which is power, because in solitude you are never truly alone. You are with your most honest thoughts, your absolute truth, your burning mission, and your inevitable future. And while the shallow world chases empty likes, hollow shares, and fleeting attention, you are in the quiet, sharpening your strategic sword, building your unshakable spirit, and forging your eternal legacy. True, genuine growth does not happen in the spotlight. It happens only in those quiet, private, crucial moments. It happens when you are journaling your pain honestly instead of venting it recklessly. It happens when you are reflecting deeply instead of emotionally reacting. It happens when you are sitting in the stillness, not anxiously waiting for outside noise, but learning actively to find power in the pause. That stillness is where champions are ultimately made, not in front of a grand crowd, but in front of your own mirror. Not through loud, self-serving announcements, but through small, consistent, daily actions. Not in the comfort of seeking external approval, but in the white-hot fire of your personal conviction. Have you ever noticed something powerful? The people who seem the calmest, the most grounded, the most truly unshakable, they are never the loud ones. They are not boastful. They don't feel the need to explain their every move or action. They do not seek pity, praise, or permission from anyone. Why? Because they have already been through the fire and they endured it without announcing it. They endured the breaking, the private rebuilding, the long, lonely nights, and the silent, grinding mornings. They have cried quietly, they have fallen privately, and they have gotten back up without anyone ever knowing they were even down. And now they carry a strength that the world genuinely cannot define. They carry a quiet authority, an invisible armor. That is the gift of silence. It forces you to develop the one thing that noise can never give you: discipline. The kind of raw discipline that wakes you up minutes before your alarm. The discipline that keeps you moving forward consistently, even when all motivation has completely disappeared. The discipline that shows up day after relentless day, even when absolutely no one is clapping. You absolutely do not need to announce your progress. You do not need to explain your inner pain. You just need to keep working, keep building, and keep rising. Let your scars be your greatest teachers. Let your setbacks become strategic setups for your next move. Let your silence become your superpower and your strength. Because while others are wasting valuable time seeking temporary validation, you, my friend, will be gaining ground secretly in the dark, in the quiet, where true, lasting legacies are born. The most important work you will ever accomplish is the work you do when no one is watching, when you are not being recorded, when there is no one there to impress, no one to cheer you on, and no one to witness the lonely grind. That is the moment when your true, core self is utterly revealed. Ask yourself in this moment, what do you do in those private moments? Do you stay consistent? Do you stay intensely focused? Do you stay completely honest? Because that is precisely where greatness lives. In the hard choices no one ever sees. In the disciplined habits you build in private. In the inner battles you conquer that will never make it onto social media. Remember this: the loud ones, the ones who crave attention, they often fade away. But the quiet ones, they rise slowly, surely, and unshakably. And when they finally show up, they don't need to utter a single word. Their powerful presence speaks. Their undeniable results speak. Their quiet resilience speaks volumes. You are not weak for staying silent. You are not cold or distant for keeping your intense struggles to yourself. You are not distant for ruthlessly protecting your peace. You are wise, you are focused, and you are powerful, because while they try to dim your internal fire with their doubt and criticism, you are stoking your own flame in absolute silence. You are actively becoming a wildfire of purpose, lit by every past setback, fueled by every crushing rejection, and intensely ignited by every single "you can't" they ever uttered. And by the time they finally notice the consuming blaze, it will be far too late to stop it. You will be too far gone, too high to reach, and too fundamentally strong to shake. Because you didn't waste precious time trying to convince them of your worth. You spent that time becoming. Becoming someone who no longer seeks external validation. Becoming someone who walks in quiet confidence. Not for show or applause, but because you have earned it through the private grind. You have faced the absolute darkness and triumphantly found the light within yourself. You don't need to announce your healing journey. Let the profound peace on your face speak for it. You don't need to broadcast your inevitable comeback. Let the newfound power in your steps speak louder than any post ever could. Now look ahead. The path ahead of you is long and the road is narrow. The journey will test you relentlessly, again and again. But trust me on this. Every single step you take in silence will echo forever. Every silent victory, every quiet morning of fierce discipline, every unnoticed sacrifice will eventually speak in volumes that no amount of words can ever match. You are not falling behind. You are strategically building momentum. You are not forgotten. You are actively becoming undeniable. You are not weak for doing this alone. You are becoming unstoppable because you did. If you believe this truth, leave a comment below saying, "I am unstoppable in silence." People will see your surface. They will see your smile and automatically think you're fine. They'll hear your laugh echoing across the room and simply assume life is easy, effortless, a cakewalk for you. They'll watch you succeed. They'll see your victory moment, and they'll choose to believe it all came naturally, just pure luck. But the reality is, they don't know. They do not know about the devastating nights you spent crying yourself to sleep, praying for morning. They do not know the ferocious battles you fought inside your own mind, the mental warfare waged just to gather the strength to get out of bed and face the day. They have no clue about the crushing days when you carried the literal weight of the world on your shoulders, yet you still showed up, you still performed, you still persevered anyway. They only see the carefully curated highlight reel. But let me remind you, you have lived the whole, unedited movie the director's cut in painful detail. Only you, and you alone, know what agonizing sacrifices and immense effort it truly took to get you right here, right now. Only you know the vicious voices you had to silence inside your own head, the persistent doubts, the paralyzing fears, the lessons learned from failures, the crippling heartbreak, the isolation and profound loneliness. And yet, despite all of that, you still rise. That, my friend, is genuine power. It's the kind of power that doesn't need to scream or announce itself. It quietly whispers. It doesn't boast about its achievements. It meticulously builds them. It doesn't need external validation from anyone. It is its own self-sufficient validation. Real strength, you see, is never loud. It is silent, consistent, quiet, and absolutely unwavering. It remains invisible to most onlookers, but it is utterly unshakable to the one who possesses and owns it. You do not have to be the loudest voice in the room to be the strongest force. Consider nature. The tallest, most magnificent tree doesn't shout to reach the sky. It just grows silently, patiently, consistently, day after day. And when the inevitable storm comes, it is the tree with the deepest roots, the ones planted and nourished in solitude in the darkness, that will always stand tall. So I urge you, do not fear the quiet. That is the fertile ground where deep, lasting change is born. The greatest, most enduring legacies in human history were never built by those who frantically chased temporary attention. They were built by those who relentlessly chased a massive, compelling purpose. They were built by the ones who stayed faithful to their mission, their calling, even when no one clapped, even when absolutely no one noticed their efforts. Let others post about it. You be about it. Let others waste time talking. You walk the path. Let others chase the crowd. You chase your calling. Because when your mind is locked in, when you are fiercely committed to something far greater than yourself, you don't need a massive audience. You just need your powerful why. It is exclusively in the silence that you achieve a true shift. That deep, fundamental change happens right there. Not in the noise of approval, not in the chaos generated by 1,000 conflicting opinions, but in the unwavering stillness. That is the defining moment when you finally stop asking, "Why me? Why is this happening?" And you start declaring with authority, "Try me. Bring it on." That, right there, is your ultimate turning point. It's when you cease sharing every single hardship and you begin the vital work of harvesting every hardship. You are turning raw pain into profound purpose, turning old wounds into new, hard-earned wisdom. You stop desperately looking for someone external to save you, and you finally become your own powerful savior. You stop telling people how impossibly hard it is, and you start actively showing them just how utterly unstoppable you have become. That powerful shift doesn't require a mic, a stage, or an audience. It only requires one thing, a decision. And when you make that unshakable decision that you are finally done explaining, done complaining, and done seeking pity, that is when literally everything in your life changes. Let's discuss a crucial concept: grit. Grit is not loud or showy. Grit is simply the burning decision to show up, to execute, even when everything inside your mind and body is screaming at you to quit and hide. It is the unwavering continuation of effort when the support fades, when the praise disappears, when it is just you, your sheer willpower, and the private vision that no one else can even see. Grit is quiet, yes, but it is fundamentally unbreakable. It's doing those extra reps at the gym when absolutely no one is watching. It's working late overtime while others are out partying and distracted. It's sacrificing your comfort now in order to reap a massive reward later. It's staying up late when you're physically exhausted, waking up early when your body craves sleep, and consistently, disciplinedly giving no less than 100% effort. Not because someone else is watching you, but specifically because you are watching you. If you can maintain self-respect in the silence, you will never need the noise of external approval. Real champions don't wait passively to be seen. They work relentlessly, as if the entire world is already watching their every move. They push forward as if the victory is already undeniably theirs, and in time, they win like they always knew. Deep down, they would. I promise you, you become who you are in the dark. You are not truly forged in front of a crowd of observers. You are forged in the intense private heat of the dark, in the cold early mornings, in the lonely grinding nights, in the silence that exists between the raw effort and the ultimate reward. That is precisely when you become the person you are meant to be. Because every single time you choose ironclad discipline over soft comfort, silence over temporary sympathy, and decisive action over pointless explanation, you are actively shaping the person you were always destined to be. You are no longer defined or limited by your past pain. You are defined by how you carry that pain, how you rise forcefully from it, and how you choose to use it to fuel your future. And once you have been shattered, broken, and painstakingly rebuilt in the dark, there is absolutely nothing anyone can take from you. Why? Because you've already found the one thing they can't touch: your core self-respect, your uncompromising integrity, your essential grit, and your true identity. You've stopped needing others to believe in you because you have powerfully learned to believe in yourself. And once you have secured that, you become dangerous in the best, most unstoppable way. Let your life be the response. The world is saturated with talkers, people who constantly explain, passionately defend, needlessly justify, and perpetually overshare. But your profound response to life doesn't need to be verbal at all. Let your results speak for themselves. Let your hard-won peace speak. Let your exponential growth speak. Let your deep healing do the talking. Let your success answer every single insult ever thrown your way. Let your quiet endurance silence every single critic. You do not owe the world a narrative or a sad story. You owe yourself a magnificent future, and you are building it right now, brick by silent brick, day by invisible day. And when the triumphant day comes, and I assure you it will come, when the bright light finally hits the empire you built in the shadows, they will inevitably say, "Wow, I had no idea you were going through all that. I had no clue." And you will simply smile, not out of bitterness, not to prove some petty point, but because you finally understand that your silence wasn't a mark of weakness. It was the greatest source of your power. They don't deserve the blueprint to your battles. When you recklessly tell the wrong people your problems, you are literally handing them the blueprint designed to break you. You are giving away the map to your most vulnerable, sensitive places, to someone who hasn't earned the right, to someone who fundamentally wouldn't protect it. And here is the brutal truth. Some people don't just fail to understand you. They deliberately don't want to understand you. They aren't listening to genuinely comfort you. They are listening to compare their life to yours, to compete against your pain, and to meticulously collect ammunition for a later date. So, I ask you forcefully, why are you handing them the precious keys to your emotional vault? Understand this truth deeply. Your pain is sacred. It is not for public consumption or mass media. It is not for people who haven't consistently proven their loyalty, their genuine empathy, and their unwavering consistency. You absolutely cannot afford to be transparent with people who are emotionally opaque. You cannot be vulnerable with people who have a history of vanishing the very moment the storm hits your life. Your story is incredibly valuable. I demand that you treat it like it is. You owe absolutely no one an explanation for your pain. There is no divine requirement in life that says you have to justify yourself to anyone. You do not have to justify your sadness. You do not have to report every setback. You don't have to prove your struggle to anyone because, face it, most people won't truly understand anyway. Not because they are evil, but because they have not walked your unique path. And for those who are quick to judge you, they doubly do not deserve to know. They do not deserve any access to your inner world, to your sacred private process of profound healing. Let them wonder. Let them assume. Let them foolishly create their own fictional stories, because what matters most isn't what they choose to say. It is fundamentally who you are actively becoming behind the scenes. That is the real, lasting victory. That is the genuine transformation. Emotional control is undeniable power. When you finally stop explaining your pain to everyone, you immediately start reclaiming your control. You are no longer reactive or defensive. You become intentional, deliberate, and laser-focused. You stop panic sharing. You stop oversharing. You observe, you process, and then you act. That is the essence of emotional maturity. That is the kind of quiet strength that people can inherently feel, even when you utter nothing. Because now you are not being led blindly by your raw emotions. You are firmly leading them. And when you lead your emotions, you immediately stop letting others manipulate your personal narrative. They do not get the license to label your depression as mere laziness. They do not get to call your anxiety a sign of weakness. They do not get to minimize your trauma or mock your sacred healing process because you didn't give them a front row seat to it. You kept it sacred. You kept it powerful. You kept it absolutely yours. Here is a raw, hard truth. When you constantly vent to the wrong, toxic people, you effectively cheapen your pain. You dilute its depth, its meaning. You recklessly invite misunderstanding into a space where profound introspection should be taking place. Not every single emotion needs a public audience. Not every emotional breakdown needs to be narrated to the world. Sometimes, the single most powerful move you can make is to keep it strictly between you, your journal, and your spiritual belief. Because once you speak that vulnerable truth out loud to the wrong ears, you can never take it back. They will remember it. They will use it. They will twist it for their own benefit. And what was once a sacred, meaningful wound becomes a shallow source of gossip, judgment, or simple pity. You must protect yourself from that immense cost. If you agree, type "protect my peace" in the comments. Validation is a dangerous trap. Most individuals aren't sharing their struggles with the intention of genuine healing. They are sharing specifically for temporary validation. But here is the critical catch. Validation feels good for a split second until it suddenly doesn't come. Then what happens? You spiral downward. You begin to question your entire self-worth. You feel exposed, foolish, and immensely ashamed because the silence or lack of response from others becomes deafeningly louder than your own internal self-worth. You depended on their response to justify your own pain. Don't do that. Do not outsource your crucial healing work to people who can barely manage the chaos in their own lives. Instead of sharing your struggle merely for sympathy, work fiercely through it in absolute silence. Earn your own profound respect. Let the definitive outcome be your validation. Let your breakthrough moment loudly proclaim, "I was consumed by the fire and I made it out, rebuilt and stronger." Understand that growth is private work. Do you genuinely want to grow exponentially? Then learn to sit with yourself, not scroll, not call, not post online. Just sit. Feel what you feel honestly, write it out, pray through it, breathe deeply through it. That is the real transformative work. It's not venting on every single phone call. It's not putting cryptic quotes on your social media story. It's not telling people you're not okay just to feel temporarily seen. You do not need to be seen by them. You need to be deeply centered. You need to be grounded. You need to be focused squarely on the solution, not the sympathy. That powerful internal shift only occurs when you get absolutely quiet. When you go inward, when you shut out all the external noise and diligently do the hard work in private. Because genuine growth doesn't beg for attention, it demands discipline. Give yourself the closure you desperately seek from others. So many brilliant people remain stuck in the same painful cycle because they are passively waiting for closure. Waiting for someone to finally apologize, waiting for someone to truly understand, waiting for someone to finally utter the magical words, "I get it." Stop waiting immediately. You do not need them to get it. You do not need their closure. You need your own powerful clarity. And clarity, that priceless commodity, comes exclusively in solitude. It comes in the decision to walk away without announcing your departure. It comes in healing without seeking revenge. It comes in forgiving without discussion. It comes in releasing the pain without needing external validation. Give yourself the peace you keep begging others to provide. You don't need to post it for proof. You don't need to prove it to anyone. You just need to finally live it. And when you live that truth, you will witness that peace doesn't flow from being heard. It flows directly from being healed. Choosing silence is not a sign of weakness. It is the ultimate display of authority and self-mastery. You are not running away from your problems. You are confronting them in the most powerful, direct, mature, and private way possible. You are not avoiding the pain. You are absorbing it, processing it, and fundamentally transforming it into fuel. No one needs to see the messy, chaotic construction site to respect the glorious masterpiece you are creating. No one needs to witness your pain to believe in your quiet, internal power. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You simply need to become everything you know you can be, achieved in silence, maintained with focus, and driven by purpose. Let's establish a foundational principle. Not everyone deserves access to your story. Not everyone possesses the necessary emotional intelligence, the life experience, or the genuine, consistent care required to hold a sacred space for your deepest truth. When you open up to just anyone, you are foolishly allowing them to enter a sacred space without a key. You are offering up your sensitive wounds to people who have 0% earned your trust. People who may not even have the capacity to truly care. You might mistakenly believe you are being real. You might label it as vulnerability. But let me be perfectly clear. Unfiltered vulnerability shared with the wrong, unearned people isn't brave. It is incredibly dangerous. Because now they possess your truth, and they might not protect it. Now they know your most sensitive pressure points, and some will not hesitate to press those points the moment it suits their agenda. So you must ask yourself continually, why am I sharing this, and with whom? If they haven't walked through the fire right alongside you, they absolutely do not deserve a seat at your healing table. Your spirit is sacred, your peace is sacred, your healing is sacred, and you must protect it fiercely like it is your very life, because in essence it is. Every single time you speak your internal problems into the wrong, judgmental ears, you are actively inviting confusion into your sacred spirit. You are giving external people the power to influence your perspective, to distort your hard-won clarity, and to inject their own personal insecurities into your delicate healing process. You are fighting for profound inner peace. So why in the world are you letting outside chaotic noise mess with your carefully constructed peace? Discretion is power, privacy is protection, silence is sacred. Guard your massive goals, guard your powerful mind. Guard your entire process like it is the priceless treasure that it is. You are not being mysterious or manipulative. You are being profoundly wise. Let them misinterpret your silence. Let them wonder. Let them frantically speculate. Because while they waste their time talking, you are silently, consistently building your empire. Do you know what is truly powerful? Not explaining yourself. Not because you are deliberately hiding, but because you are gloriously free. You are free from the soul-crushing burden of constantly translating your complicated soul for people who only speak the language of the surface. You do not owe anyone an exhausting explanation for your personal struggle. You don't have to relive your traumatic pain just to satisfy someone else's idle curiosity. You don't need to share your deepest sadness simply to be understood. Sometimes silence is the purest form of self-respect. Sometimes the act of not sharing is the precise way you stay sane and grounded. Because I assure you, no matter how eloquently you explain your situation, they will still only hear you through the limited lens of their own life experience. So I beg you, stop bleeding on people who cannot bandage you. Stop telling your valuable story to people who will not honor it. Let your successful life speak for you. Let your quiet resilience be the undeniable proof. Let your undeniable glow be the only explanation necessary. Let your hard-won peace be the final story. Oversharing your pain doesn't just expose you emotionally, it imposes a terrible cost on you mentally. You convince yourself you are venting for momentary relief, but often you are just relentlessly reliving the pain all over again. Every single time you verbally tell the painful story, you reinforce the existing wound. You give it more weight, more time. You feed it attention it fundamentally doesn't deserve. Instead of moving toward healing, you are just rehearsing the trauma. Instead of processing the pain, you are performing it. Instead of moving forward, you are simply looping back to the beginning. Not every single emotion needs to be verbalized to another human being. Some feelings are meant to be deeply felt, acknowledged, and then quietly released. Feel it. Write it in your journal, pray through it, walk it off, and transmute that negative energy into progress. But for the sake of your peace, do not keep broadcasting what you are desperately trying to bury. Don't keep announcing the very thing you are meant to rise above. The more you talk about it, the more mental space it occupies in your spirit. And genuine healing needs space to breathe and grow. There is something truly divine about silence. It is not cold or uncaring. It is not passive or weak. It is, in fact, sacred, highly strategic, and intensely strong. When you consistently move in silence, you instantly confuse those who want to control you. You disarm those who attempt to define your worth. You protect the sacred integrity of your personal process. And when you heal in silence, you don't waste precious time explaining your actions. You invest that energy into actively transforming yourself. You don't beg for understanding from outsiders. You diligently build self-trust and confidence. You don't seek a public cheer squad. You become your own coach, your own counselor, your own fierce motivator. And when you win in silence, that is an entirely different, more powerful kind of victory. Because there is no toxic ego involved. No need to say, "I told you so." There is just profound peace, focused presence, and unshakable purpose. You absolutely do not need to validate your pain through the unreliable channels of other people. You don't need their permission to feel what you feel deeply. You don't need a witness to confirm that your experience is real. And you definitely do not need an audience to suffer. Pain is not a performance. Healing is not a show. It is personal, intimate, and holy work. When you finally stop needing others to co-sign your experience, you begin to powerfully own it. You stop anxiously asking, "Can you believe this trauma happened to me?" And you start declaring with firm conviction, "Look what I have successfully built from the pieces of what tried to break me." You stop fruitlessly seeking sympathy and you begin to strategically seek solutions. You stop venting and you finally start evolving. That is the sacred moment when pain ceases to be a limiting prison and becomes a powerful platform for your future. There is something inherently powerful about becoming the one person in the room they can't quite figure out. Not because you are deliberately hiding, but because you have permanently elevated your standards. Because you have recognized a profound truth. Sharing everything isn't actually strength, it is emotional exposure. Mystery is protection, and protection is undeniable power. Let them wonder what profound journey you've been through. Let them frantically guess exactly how you got here, how you survived, and how you endured. Let them speculate wildly about your triumphant comeback. Because the very people who once tried to bury you, to crush your spirit, will never truly understand the divine process of how you grew silently and powerfully in the dark. They will never grasp how your deliberate silence became your impenetrable armor, how your solitude became your sacred sanctuary, or how fierce self-trust became the unshakable fuel for your resurrection. So, embrace this power. Let your profound mystery intimidate them. Let your unwavering silence command genuine respect. Let the deep, unshakable peace you now radiate cause utter confusion in their chaotic lives. And most importantly of all, let your undeniable success be the only powerful story you ever need to tell to the world. In a noisy, chaotic world that desperately feeds on overexposure, understand this: privacy becomes your greatest power. In a culture utterly addicted to non-stop noise and chatter, silence becomes your truest strength. And in a superficial world where everyone shares every intimate detail just to feel temporarily seen, your refusal to do so makes you dramatically stand out. Protect your light fiercely. Your complex process of growth is not a public project. Your higher purpose is not something subject to a community vote. Your deep-seated pain is absolutely not for cheap entertainment. Your miraculous comeback story is not for their casual commentary. It belongs to you. Your story, your pain, your healing, your mission. It is all yours. And not everyone needs to know the sacred details, because the more meticulously you protect your process, the more explosively powerful your final outcome will be. You don't need to waste a moment explaining why you went quiet. You don't need to justify why you pulled away from the noise. You certainly don't need to defend your silence. Let them misinterpret it. Let them make foolish assumptions. Because your power, your true strength, is not found in their limited understanding of you. Your power is found exclusively in your becoming. You absolutely do not owe anyone your pain story. You don't owe anyone the sight of your scars. You don't owe anyone your struggle. You only owe yourself one sacred ultimate duty: to rise, to heal, to thrive, and to build the magnificent life your pain once tried to brutally steal from you. And you will do this quietly, powerfully, and completely unapologetically. Let them wonder. Let your magnificent life become the unanswerable answer. Sometimes, the single most powerful and strategic thing you can ever do is say absolutely nothing at all. You do not owe anyone a public breakdown. You do not owe them the unfiltered, raw truth of your soul. You don't owe them an emotional play-by-play of your worst, darkest days. In fact, the very moment you stop needlessly narrating your pain to people who haven't earned the right to hear it, that is the life-altering moment you begin to reclaim your fundamental power. Listen, It's easy to share, it's easy to vent, it's easy to desperately post a vague message online looking for a momentary hit of sympathy. But I ask you, what takes real, raw strength? It is sitting powerfully with the immense weight, holding it firmly, carrying it without complaint, and enduring the process without broadcasting every difficulty. That, my friends, is precisely where you sharpen your strategic edge. That is where you gain the kind of self-respect and grit that cannot be faked. Because every single time you stay silent, you are actively choosing control. You are choosing intention. You are choosing you. Silence is not a weakness. It is profound wisdom. Once you have experienced the sting of betrayal from a few open ears, once you've witnessed your vulnerable heart being turned into cheap gossip, once you've seen people laugh behind your back while they pretended to care, you immediately stop offering up your pain so freely. You realize a deep truth. Not everyone with a hand resting gently on your shoulder is genuinely a friend. Not everyone who innocently asks, "How are you?" truly wants an honest answer. Some just want something juicy to talk about the second you walk away. So you must go inward. You must meticulously build a life where your peace, your inner calm, is infinitely louder than any of your explanations. A life where your progress speaks what your voice no longer needs to utter. Where your healing becomes so utterly sacred, so intensely personal, that you protect it like the priceless treasure it truly is. And make absolutely no mistake, your silence does not mean nothing is happening within you. It means everything is happening. You are learning to cope with the immense weight without needing to complain. You are learning to rise steadily without making loud announcements. You are building a life that doesn't require anyone's permission or pity. Let them foolishly assume you have it easy. They were not there for the endless sleepless nights. They didn't witness the debilitating panic attacks. They didn't watch you painstakingly rebuild yourself from the painful scraps of shattered hope. And that is perfectly fine. They don't need to know what you went through, because what matters most is not what they understand. What matters is that you survived. And now you are not explaining your journey any longer. You are powerfully walking it. No updates, no flimsy justifications, just quiet, unrelenting, unstoppable growth. Silence is not merely the absence of words. It is the unmistakable presence of power. It is the sacred dividing line between chaos and clarity, between emotionally reacting and deliberately responding, between reckless self-exposure and profound self-mastery. When you intentionally hold back from telling your problems to the wrong people, you are practicing the purest, most disciplined form of self-respect imaginable. You need to know this. Not everyone has the emotional maturity to truly hold sacred space for you. Not everyone deserves to hear your deepest truths, and when you realize that, you will immediately stop leaking your valuable life into unworthy, porous hands. You stop allowing your struggle to be twisted into contempt. You stop explaining every minor emotional storm to people who bring only umbrellas, but never offer true shelter. You stop hoping someone else will get it, because you finally powerfully do get it. You've been through enough fire to know that telling someone your pain doesn't guarantee genuine empathy. It doesn't promise true understanding. And it certainly does not promise loyalty. Some will only sympathize with you just long enough to feel superior to your struggle. Others will pretend to care while secretly delighting that you're struggling. And the most dangerous group? They will meticulously remember your weakest moments and replay them in conversations that were never meant for your ears. So you learn the lesson, you grow exponentially. And you pull back your energy, not because you're cold or uncaring, but because you finally know. You know your fragile heart is not a public journal for others to casually skim. You know your sacred wounds are not invitations for external judgment. You know your profound healing process doesn't require a public round of applause. You start talking less and moving more. You start venting less and diligently building more. You stop narrating the chaos and you start successfully navigating it, because you have now stepped into a brand new kind of powerful strength, quiet strength. You begin to master restraint. You realize your full story isn't ready to be shared, not because you're hiding, but because you are still becoming. And once you've lived through the raw betrayal of telling the wrong people too much, you realize the massive cost of oversharing is far higher than the fleeting momentary relief it brings. Oversharing is emotional debt. It feels instantly good, but it leaves you empty and vulnerable later. True, deep healing only happens in the quiet, in the unshared moments, in the sacred space between you, your higher power, your journal, or your quiet room at 2 a.m. That is the untouched space where the real essential work happens. No external eyes, no judgmental ears, no need for applause, just you. Facing your reality head-on, holding yourself accountable, and putting one deliberate foot in front of the other. There is a certain fierce pride that swells within you when you get through a crushing ordeal, and absolutely no one even knew you were suffering. Not because you were forcefully silenced, but because you were intensely focused on healing, focused on unstoppable progress, focused on becoming the magnificent person you were truly meant to be. Let the world assume whatever shallow thing it wants. You have nothing left to prove, nothing to defensively justify, nothing to explain to anyone. Your only critical job now is to keep going. Keep working tirelessly on yourself in the dark until the brilliant light starts radiating from you. There is something fundamentally unshakable about someone who has walked through the blazing fire and uttered nothing. Someone who has cried silently, bled quietly, healed privately, and then emerged stronger, calmer, and clearer than ever before. Because when you stop telling people your problems, you stop handing them a limiting script to read your life. You stop giving them unearned access to the parts of you they were never qualified to comprehend. And in that magnificent silence, you find something incredibly rare and priceless: self-trust. You stop tentatively asking, "Do you think I'll make it?" and start forcefully declaring, "I am making it. Watch me." You stop thinking, "If only they understood, I'd feel better," and realize, "I feel better because I finally understand myself." When you embrace silence as your primary companion, you begin to hear things you never could in the overwhelming noise. Your razor-sharp intuition, your intrinsic resilience, your most powerful truth. And once you hear your own truth, you can never unknow it. You realize your profound healing is not a public event or a performance. It is not something to live stream. It is not content. It is your soul's reconstruction project, and it demands, it deserves, complete privacy. Let others continue to overshare. Let them confuse temporary pity with everlasting power. Let them trade genuine empathy for fleeting attention. But you, my friend, you have graduated from that shallow game. Now, you let your hard-won peace speak infinitely louder than your old pain. You let your consistent actions shout louder than any explanation you could ever give. You let your incredible life become the single loudest thing about you, because here is the ultimate truth. People may not notice your silence right now, but I guarantee you they will feel your transformation later. They will wonder, frantically, "Where have you been? What powerful thing happened to you? How did you get here?" And you will simply, serenely smile. Because they weren't there for the fight. They weren't there for the quiet mornings you got up anyway. They didn't see the brutal internal battles you won when the world thought you were resting. So no, you don't owe them your story. You don't owe them your breakdowns. You owe them absolutely nothing but distance and boundaries. Let your newly established boundaries protect your sacred rebirth. Let your fierce discipline protect your peace. Let your powerful silence protect your destiny and purpose, because the strongest, most enduring individuals, they don't just rise from the ashes, they rise without noise. No loud declarations, no pity parties, no unnecessary drama. Just pure momentum, just clear purpose, just unadulterated power. And when the world finally catches up, when they finally see the unstoppable level you've meticulously built in the dark, they'll inevitably ask, "Why didn't you tell anyone this was happening?" And your simple, powerful answer will resonate forever. Because I didn't need to. I just needed to become. So hold your head incredibly high, not because they finally understand your struggle, but because you finally, profoundly understand yourself. Walk forward in quiet, unshakable confidence, not to be seen by others, but because you no longer need their gaze. Let them wonder where you went and how you rose, because the truth, the glorious, powerful truth, is that your silence was not a sign of absence. It was the greatest transformation of your life. And now that you've become the undeniable force you were always meant to be, you don't need to explain the pain that shaped you. You are no longer here to simply be understood. You are here, right now, to be absolutely undeniable. If this message shifted something in your soul, I want you to comment below with your biggest takeaway. Subscribe to this channel for more powerful truth. Share this video with everyone who needs to stop explaining and start becoming.